Can I retire with $100,000 saved for retirement? That's what we're going to look at today on the Your Financial EKG YouTube channel. And the reason we're going to look at can I retire with $100,000 in retirement savings is because the average save for retirement, or the median amount saved for retirement at 50, is $100,000. Now, the median save for retirement at 55 is $134,000, and the median save for retirement at 60 is $164,000. Remember, the median is a better indicator of the average savings rates here in America for retirement. So averages get skewed, but medians hit the nail on the head. Now, the average retirement spending today in America is $52,000 a year. That's $4,345. That's a 2023 figure. Inflation, hey, that's what we've got right now. 48% of retirees actually spend less than $2,000 according to a recent survey. So since the averages are skewed, this $52,000 is probably a high figure. Most individuals are spending $2,000 or less in retirement. And the average retirement age today is 62 years old. And the average retirement Social Security check is $1,800. So if we're doing retirement planning, if we're doing a video on YouTube called Can I Retire, shouldn't we look at what the people actually look like here in America? Well, that's what we're going to look at. We're going to retire with $100,000. We're going to do two distinct scenarios. We're going to do a married couple. That's what we're going to look at here. And then we're going to look at a single individual. Can I retire with $100,000? Now, keep in mind, married and single have unique challenges. If you are single, there is one income, one retirement savings. It's all on me, myself, and I. If you're married, you have two Social Securities, two forms of retirement savings, but you have two forms of expenses now, and you also have to plan for the loss of a spouse. So let's look at it today. Let's go through the married couple first. Can I retire at 62 with $100,000 in retirement savings and I am married? So we've got $100,000 in retirement savings. We're going to take a couple assumptions from the medians to give us our demographics for this couple. First, we're going to use the average retirement spending in America, which is $4,345 a month, $52,000 a year. We're going to use $1,800, which is the average Social Security check. We're going to multiply that by 2. We're going to get $3,600. So this is our expenses, and this is our Social Security. Now, we are going to lower the projected rate of return that we are expecting on our retirement savings in the stock market. We're going to use a 5% rate of return, and we're going to use an inflation rate of 3%. Now, the reason I'm going to use a 5% rate of return is because if $100,000 is what you have saved for retirement, and you're in your 60s, you're in your 70s, those investments need to be really conservative because you have to protect your retirement savings at all cost. And so we need to have a lower rate of return on these investments. And we're going to use 3% as our inflation rate because that's the 109-year average. I realize that in 2023 or 2022, inflation is much higher. And inflation could be with us for a decade. But if we look at the averages, how we do projections in financial planning is we're going to have a lower inflation rate because it's the average. It's the 109-year average. So we're going to use 3%. Now, you can see $100,000 at 62, needing $4,345 per month, $3,600 is our Social Security, which means we need $745 a month for 10 years with inflation off of this $100,000. And by 72 years old, we have $1,980. 1980, that's a good year. $1,980 at 72. Not 1980. That was, again, a good year. It's the year my sister was born. But that's not what we want at 72 years old. At 73, we're at 0. And that's using the averages, right? That's using our average expenses. That's using average Social Security, which is probably pretty consistent whether you live in Bangor, Maine, Tucson, Arizona, or Seattle, Washington. Now, let's look at something else. Because a lot of times I do these videos and I'll show you what the medians and averages are, and somebody will comment, hey, Drew, you didn't actually help them retire. Well, I do live an hour and a half from Disney World, so I can go get some pixie dust, and let's just put some pixie dust on this retirement plan, and let's show these people how they can retire with $100,000. Well, we're gonna have to do some adjusting to our plan. So we've got $100,000. Our rate of return is gonna stay the same, right? We're still gonna earn 5%, and our inflation rate's gonna stay the same at 3%. We don't wanna raise our rate of return. We don't want to try to earn 6, 7, 8, 9%, because what happens if we get sequence of return risk? Sequence of return risk is simply you step into retirement and the market drops in the first few years of your retirement, meaning you're pulling retirement income off of a losing investment right away. And you know, Mike Tyson always said, everybody wants to fight until they get hit in the nose. And that's the same with retirement. Everybody wants to go into retirement till you get hit in the nose with a down market multiple years. So we want to keep our rate of return low for projection-wise because we need to be more conservative with our investments. Now, we're going to bring our expenses down. We've got to bring them down if we want to retire at 62 with $100,000 in retirement savings. So we're going to take it down to $3,500 a month. Our Social Security is still the same. That's $3,600 a month. So we've got $3,500 in monthly expenses, $3,600 our Social Security. So starting out, we're actually plus $100. I don't know if you can see that. Plus $100. Now, with inflation over the decade, we're going to lose that plus $100 and it's going to become a negative. What I mean by plus 100 is you're saving $100 at the beginning of your retirement. Now at 72, our $100,000 has grown to $171,368. Our expenses have grown to $408,09, so $4,809. Our Social Security has now grown to $4,644, which means we need $165 a month off of our investments. And at 82, we have $245,963. So this is a pretty good scenario. We actually grow our money at 100. We have $290,000. So that's pixie dust. We've lowered our expenses. Social Security COLAs are able to keep up with the inflation rate on our expenses. But even with pixie dust, Peter Pan had to fight Captain Hook, right? And so in this scenario, if we face a Captain Hook, let's say we lose a spouse, we have an emergency expense. What if we get to 72 and we have $171,000 and this $4,644 gets cut in half because our spouse passes away? Now we have $4,809 in expenses, but we have half the Social Security. And you might be saying, Drew, we would maybe get half the expenses because the spouse would be gone. Well, your property taxes aren't going anywhere. Your insurance is staying where it's at. A lot of expenses are fixed. And with inflation, okay, over time, that grocery bill when you first got retired might be the same as it was when you first retired, but it might be higher now, even with the loss of a spouse because of inflation. So we've really got to be protecting of our money, especially if we're going to retire with $100,000. And that's why I always say, if you're going to retire early or you're going to retire with less than what you need in retirement savings, let's just say you got to get out of your job, either you're laid off or you just can't work where you're working right now with the amount of retirement savings that you've got, it might be worth working part-time. And I know people don't like to hear that, but that's going to protect you over the long term. So this is a married scenario. Can I retire at 62 with $100,000? Let's look at a single scenario. Can I retire at 62 with $100,000 in retirement savings as a single person? So we're going to look at a single individual right now. They've got $1,800 in Social Security. That's the average Social Security check here in America, and we're gonna ask the question, can I retire with $100,000 in retirement savings? Remember, the average save for retirement, the median actually, save for retirement at 50 is $100,000 in retirement savings. The median save for retirement at 55 is $134,000 saved for retirement, and the median save for retirement at 60 is $164,000 saved for retirement. So let's look if we can retire at 62 with $100,000 as a single person. Now, here's what we've done. We've got a couple assumptions that we've carried over from our demographics, and let's look at those. 5% is going to be our rate of return. That's our money that's in the stock market. And 3% is going to be our inflation rate. We're going to use 5% as our rate of return because we're going to stay conservative on our investments. Now, our expenses are $2,200 per month. Now, the average retirement spending today in the year 2023 is $4,345. I don't know, and I can't find the average retirement spending for a single individual. If you've got it, put it in the comment section, send me the link. But I can't find it distinct between married and single. So what I did was I took $4,345 and I basically just halved it. And I said, what about $2,200 in expenses? Because there was a recent survey conducted among retirees. 48% of respondents in that survey said they spent $2,000 a month or less in retirement. And that's because they don't have enough retirement savings. So let's look at this. We got $2,200 in expenses. $1,800 is our Social Security, which means we need $400 each month off of our $100,000, and that's going to have an inflation rate of 3%. Now, how we do inflation here with Your Financial EKG is we don't look at inflation on an annual basis. We take the 3%, we break it down monthly. So basically 3% divided by 12, we look at monthly inflation, right? Because if you go to Walmart, Costco, Publix, Myers, wherever, Whole Foods, raspberries today are going to be less expensive than raspberries tomorrow or next month. That's called inflation. So we can't look at this annually. I want to look at it monthly because I don't know if you buy all your groceries one time a year, but I buy my groceries like every 2 weeks. I got 3 kids, 2 dogs, and a wife. I might buy groceries like 3 times a week. Now, over a decade, our $100,000 goes to $81,297. But our expenses and our Social Security have grown because of inflation and the cost of living adjustment. Now our expenses have gone from $2,200 to $3,023 over a decade, and our Social Security has grown from $1,800 a month to $2,322. Now our rate of return for our money in the market stayed the same, and our inflation rate has stayed the same at 3%. So at 72, $3,000 in expenses, $2,000 in Social Security, we need about $700 off of our retirement investing accounts every month with inflation. At 82, we have $4,830 left in retirement savings. You can do the math. The money doesn't last much longer. Now, if I just showed you that, somebody would leave a comment and they would say, Drew, you are a bad financial advisor. You are misleading because you're not helping them get to retirement, get through retirement, and protect their ability to stay in retirement, because that's what we say we do here. And if you want an EKG, all the information is below. We'd be happy to work with you. So I drove over to Disney World. I got a little extra pixie dust, and we're going to put some pixie dust on this scenario, and we're going to say, how can you retire at 62 with $100,000 in retirement savings? So let's do it. How can I retire at 62 with $100,000 in retirement savings? Well, you're going to have to make some big sacrifices. We're going to use the assumption that your expenses are $2,000 a month. That's $24,000 a year. And we're going to add inflation on that of 3%. Okay? Now, the money in the market is going to earn 5%. If you earn more than 5%, we'll high five and chest bump at the end of the year. Your Social Security is $1,800 because you're taking it at 62. Now remember, if you take Social Security at 62, you're only going to get 70% of your full retirement benefit. If you take it at 67, you're gonna get 100% of your full retirement benefit. And if you wait till 70, you get 124% of your full retirement benefit. We're taking it early because with the retirement savings where they're at, the income that needs to come off the portfolio, we need the Social Security right away. So at 72, we'd have $121,387 in retirement savings. We're gonna carry forward our rate of return, which is 5%. We're gonna carry forward inflation, which is 3%. Now our expenses have gone from $2,000 to $2,748, okay? Social Security's grown from $1,800 to $2,322, which means we need $426 per month off of our investments. So at 82, we'd have $120,165 in retirement savings. And if we project this out to 100, we're out of money at 98 years old. Now, that's not spending a whole lot in retirement, but that is how you can retire at 62 with $100,000 in retirement savings. Also, you have to keep in mind, there are some caveats in this plan. What about emergencies? What if you have a health condition, a chronic health condition? You need a new air conditioner, a roof. What if you have an emergency and you gotta take $50,000 out of this? That's really gonna put a crink in your plan. So we've really gotta understand if we're gonna retire, we need to know, or we need to live on a very strict budget if our retirement savings has not projected out the amount of income that we need to last until 100. Now, there's also many of you watching that have moved to the Philippines or are planning on moving overseas. And if you have less in retirement savings than you would need in America, it's gonna benefit you. But you always wanna keep in mind, what about emergencies, okay? So I hope this video has helped you. Can I retire at 62 with $100,000? God bless, bye-bye.